Just going live now, ladies and gents. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, or late afternoon. It's a peasant, prodigious radio producer, Professor Johnson, inside Proclamation News and Gavance. I've been watching the PMQs this morning. The PMQs, everyone is playing party politics, really. Everyone thinks they know politics. Everyone thinks they know politics. Who would be a better prime minister than Boris? Is it Boris Johnson's fault that we've got COVID-19? COVID-19, how he's trying to tackle COVID-19. He's still trying to keep our furlough scheme going for business that are going to be closing down. It's two teachers at my mum's old school have got COVID-19, so that schools going to end up being shutting down. We've got to take safety measures precautiously. Um, and pubs they're shutting down an hour early. Is that really gonna? I know, really drinking is that good for your mental health anyway? Seriously, it's COVID. I mean, the lockdown restrictions is it really bad for your mental health? Not really. Not to keep your mind active and keep your head above water, eating. As long as you got food in your fridge, food in your freezer, you can feed your family and water in your sack. You're surviving. You're richer than most. Look at all these poorest countries like Haiti, Southwest Africa. People, I've been watching the PMQs on the PMQ's website on the internet. I was looking at all the messages, people trying to make out they know politics. Oh, Boris Johnson's fault, this fault. It doesn't matter who his prime minister is. It really doesn't. All we can do is take safety precautions. People going to local gatherings, drinking. That's no good for your mental health. With drinking already, it despairs your chemical imbalance. People, I don't know. People really despise me. Um, it don't surprise me in the slightest because it's just absolute monstrosity, absolute mayhem the way people act. Anyway, let's move off the PMQs today because when I watch people write things, I think this winding me up watching it. Why do I watch people writing not absolute nonsense? Sir Keir Starmer is obviously he's always going to tackle Boris in the PMQs, trying to belittle him, get Labour up back where after Jeremy Corbyn put them under, I suppose. But I'm not going to write off Labour. But obviously, I'm Conservative, so that's that. I heard what's his name this morning? I was listening to James O'Brien. James O'Brien, but I don't really take in all he says. He's a lefty, but I've got no problems with lefty. I do like him some days, and other days he don't let his caller speak. He always criticises his caller. Always criticises his caller. One of his callers was supporting Boris. Obviously, James O'Brien's going to put him down because he's a lefty anyway, which he would. And the guy was also in the defensive league, same as I'd have been. Um, you know, sticking up for the prime minister. Any prime minister in this situation, it's like you wouldn't go into town if there's an airstrike, would you? Because it's physically going to blow you out the sky. But this silent COVID-19 is killing vulnerable. So, like I said, when you wash your hands or put your mask on, don't put it on for yourself. Put it on for the sake of your loved ones and sake of the other vulnerable people around you, unless you're exempt. Because anyone at any given moment can get COVID. I mean, I thought I was almost invincible, but seeing it's getting a bit more local, mum's school. I think it was my mum was at school and she brought it home. I lost my mum through COVID-19. I'll be devastated, absolutely devastated. And the chances are I'll go around there and I'll get it myself, and I don't get to see my own kids that I'm fighting for. I'm fighting to get my degree, my PhD. I'm fighting for my life to get see my children again. And we're all fighting our life every day. We've got compassion, haven't we? Everyone's got compassion. Compassion is what thrives Britain forward. But obviously some under the influence of alcohol and narcotics, unfortunately, but we can't help that. We can't help that, unfortunately. We can only guide people to better their surroundings, better their own performance. Anyway, ladies and gents, we're going to get into, people that may be in a position to sell their house and buy another. If you sell your house, you're going to be 20% by 20%. House prices have dropped by 20%. When you buy a house, what are we looking for? I don't know if I had this discussion yesterday. This is so all my own knowledge. I mean, I've worked in the most dangerous job, the most dangerous job. We all do throughout life. We do courageous things. You know, we get up a ladder to wash your window on the first floor of your house. Your first floor of your house, like 20 foot high. It's been raining, the ground slippery, them sort of things. The job I've done pretty much most of my life has been underpinning. Underpinning. You shore up both sides as you dig down 3 meters. You're going underneath the house, underneath the house. So the underneath your house is the roof that's above your head as you're digging down. I'm digging 3 meters down. You've got two boards shoring up the side. I'll tell you what, the boards we used to have were flimsy bits of ply, and we used to use 4x2s, timbers, to keep the structures up. I was 3 meters underneath the house. Above me, I looked up. You got the base of the floor. It's not a foot in there because that's why we're doing underpinnings. Put a footing in. 3 meters underneath your house. Imagine being 3 meters underneath your house. You look up, the ceiling is the bottom of your floor. So imagine if you got family still living in the house. Imagine your children jumping in the corner and the floor started to break through on your head, or there's bit of rain subsided the back wall of the dig that you've done. You wouldn't get out the hole. I mean, I've done boxing, but that's probably the most courageous thing I've ever done is underpinning. The most dangerous thing. You see all these house landslides and whatever, Skip to where I am today. Don't think I've been given this on a silver platter, because believe me, just to feed my family and put a roof overhead, I was still in poverty then. Doing the most dangerous job, house insurance job. I'm only getting day rate, and it wasn't that mad. I'll tell you something. It wasn't that great. Not great at all. I was getting peanuts. I was on about £70 a day. My overheads were, I don't know, £900 a month. I was earning £70 a day. I'd feed two kids, my ex wife, and I've got nothing today. I've got nothing, absolutely nothing. That's other than all the other careers I've done. This is something that I want to get off to a flying start. Anyway, looking at buying houses. Nothing's given to us on a silver platter. So do not give up or give in. Nothing's impossible, but everything is possible if you work hard at it. Proclamation news and Gavins. Housing. Going into buying a mortgage. As you know, I've just told you, 15 to 20% the house price is dropping. I don't think it's been much easier to get a mortgage, to be honest with you, unless you're in a solid job. Any job solid at the moment. As housing prices drop, new homeowners or new home occupiers looking at a sociological change, perhaps. When buying a property, don't look at house prices. Also, think about the cost of repairs, damages, and insurance purposes. This is all my knowledge. You'll get to understand what we're just talking about. Look at the deeds of the house and insurance repairs, crack repairs, i.e. footings, tree expansions. Tree expansions, meaning by the roots that could go for the house, like pine trees, oak trees. For insurances, for instance, can be the main cause of crack repairs. If you get these big roots going through the middle of your house, could split. Not right for me. I mean, for the floor of your house, could start splitting the footings, could start splitting the flooring in your house. You get damp, mould within the bricks and mortar. Look at the surroundings. Is it in a suburb area? What's the crime like? The policing, further criminology. Is it essential for you and your family, your children? Are there essentials close by? Shops, amenities, schools, churches, town centres and public transport. Close by, beach or field perhaps. Maybe kids want to do some other activity like youth club or something. Interact. Think what's going to benefit your family. Just don't go in blind. Don't go in selfish. What makes your home essential to you? Is the move for better purposes or increase of occupation, which will lead to a better social outcome? If if you're in a better occupation, you can afford more for your family. You get to do more social things, don't you? Maybe like going to the gym. Your kids like sporting events, or maybe they like art. They want to go to museums, or maybe just theatre or anything like that. You think, think of the consequences. Is it good for your occupation? Moving to the city, what's around you? Think about the consequences of the social change for children's sake also. It will be better social change develop their education for hobbies and interests. Don't buy for you, but make suspect. Don't buy blindfolded. Stay with me, ladies and gents. Proclamation news and gatherings. Please share on your social media or in your WhatsApp group. If you've got a WhatsApp group, jump on board. Give some, me talking might be a great helping hand to other people going for mental health. If it's through, I know anything, ex-alcoholic, they need a good guidance in life. Ex-narcotic user, need a guidance in life. I'll help them. I won't tell them I help them. I'm totally against it. I'll help them. Not help them as in physically, but really over the radar. I tell them how I got to where I am today. I've pretty much been motivated by myself all along since the day I was born. McDonald's. Look at COVID-19 restrictions. Restrictions for everyone. The rules and regulations through McDonald's. McDonald's and Pret not included in new table service rules. Must be a bit strange for people with disability. They can't go in. They've got to McDonald's and they can't sit down. Is it a stress? There's tables and chairs outside, perhaps, or a park bench. McDonald's, Pret and Manager, and a similar restaurant without an alcohol license will not need to serve customers at tables. The government has confirmed. On Tuesday, new rules governing hospitality were announced. I never knew people served people at tables at McDonald's. Never seen it in my life. I don't really eat McDonald's, but I've been there a few times with friends. They mean pubs and other places with licensed premises must provide table service. I must admit, I've got no friends in my own constituency, but where I used to live, last year, I had friends who used to go and sit at McDonald's. Early confusion was sparked after Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab suggested on Wednesday that all restaurants could need table service. Last time I ate at McDonald's was on New Year's Eve. I had 5 cheeseburgers. Before that, it's probably been about a year. I don't go to McDonald's. He told the Today programme, in all of the restaurants and hospitality, you can go in and order from the tables. What you can't do without a mask is just sit around and mill around. My understanding is that you need to be able to order from the tables. But of course, the guidance will be very clear. The updated guidelines specified that all pubs, bars, restaurants and other hospitality venues in England must have 10 p.m. close time from Thursday. These measures are designed to slow the spread of coronavirus. I mean, people going, oh, what's an hour going to make change? But some form of rules and regulations is going to make a difference. Or they just shut completely. Have an hour shut, less, or shut completely. I mean, if the pubs are shut, everyone's going to be moaning again anyway. And they get their drink from the supermarket and go to more local gatherings, which you don't want. Because you're still risking your family when you get up the next day, when you're sober, and you go and visit them because you've had people around. It makes no odds, does it? As long as it is broad. I was watching PMQs and they was going, oh yeah, putting the hour down, what's the difference it's going to make? It's going to make a bit of impact, do the science. People not hanging about for an extra hour in a pub. It's going to, take the measures down slightly. Maybe not massively, but slightly. It's better than nothing. Something is better than nothing. Give them an inch, they take a mile. That's the problem. Case and hospital admissions in the UK are rising again, which prompted the updated guidance. Industry group UK Hospitality has criticised the government approach, saying restaurants and pubs were having to make changes at short notice. UK Hospitality Chief Executive Kate Nichols said, "Our understanding is that quick service restaurants will be exempt from the new rules, but there is certainly a degree of confusion. The government is clearly struggling to catch up with announcements and policy is changing on a daily basis. Business deserves that better than this when they expected to follow new rules at short notice, particularly when those rules are going to have such an impact." Mr. Coles has added that previous guidelines were better for pubs and restaurants as they allow business more flexibility in implementing coronavirus measures. Business owners know what works for them in their venues. They are the best place to know how to control the flow of customers through their business. I mean, they're keeping gyms open. They're keeping other things, activities open for people with disabilities. Trying to keep the economic system afloat, flux aflowing with a slight change to keep the economic going. People will get upset if all the business have to close, drastically, which could happen if people don't take these measures promptly and sufficiently and wisely. Misogyny. Misogyny. Women should be protected under hate crime laws. Women are really protected anyway. Women are so protected in the UK, very, very protected. Women should be protected under expanded hate crime laws, according to a new report from the Commission. The independent body that advises the government said misogyny should be treated in the same way as other discrimination when it is the motivation for a crime. Campaigners welcomed the proposal, including Labour MP Stella Creasy, who called it our moment for change. I'm not going to jump to conclusions there, so I don't know what this is about. I always do this. Read saying it's like anyone. The read something on the dotted line. Yeah, why should we protect this society until you read into it? That's the trouble. Make first choice of judgment, and you can make a big mess up. The Home Office said it was committed to stamping out hate crime. 7 police forces in England and Wales class misogyny as a hate crime, but this definition has not been adopted across the board. When a crime is carried out against someone, such as assault, harassment, or criminal damage, because of their race, religion, sexual orientation, disability, or transgender identity, it's considered a hate crime and treated more seriously by other courts. Yeah, it's breaching ASBO, breaching ASBO, fascism. There's a lot of things there involved. Now, cyberbullying as well. It's one, these are a criminal offence. These are a criminal offence. But campaigners have criticised the complex nature of the existing laws and called for sex and gender to be added to the list. I mean, I do debates on social media. I've done one about Black Lives Matter because the reason why I set it up in the first place, why I defended it, the reason why I set it up and the authorities went against it because it's the authorities that made them set it up. They shot an innocent 13-year-old in 2017. Shot an innocent 13-year-old in 2017. That's why they set BLM up. And after that, it was obviously the Floyd matter, which just recently. And throughout them years, they've caused mayhem, which they would be through the hate of the attacks that the police have done to them, and how they've been led through slavery and stuff. And as same as the Islamophobia um, crisis that happened with Tommy Robinson and Tim Nice but Dim. But Tommy Robinson did not do himself any favours. If he kept his mouth shut about the rest of the community and just left it with a gang that did actually rape his cousin, he might have got somewhere. But he carried it on with the whole lot of the Muslim tribe, the family, the whole cultural system, saying they're saying they're all extremists. They're not all extremists. that one of them Islamic doctors are probably going to save his mum's life in the next few months, or even his or dentist. The mobile phone he's using, where does that come from? He's writing so many people off and putting so many people under one jurisdiction. He made himself look like an idiot. Anyway, the Law Commission has carried out a review into the legislation and is putting several recommendations into a consultation. It said the vast majority of evidence suggested crimes were linked to misogyny. The Commission plans to make its official recommendations to the government in 2021. That's why it's important when you listen to different radiocasters, even the Prime Minister shouldn't really criticise. I mean, I've started not defending Labour, but I'm not criticising. I'm not supporting them, but I'm not criticising them. The Home Office said it asked the Commission to explore how to make current legislation more effective and if there should be additional protective characteristics, and it will respond to the review in full when it is complete. I mean, I'm not a great fan of Nigel Farage because he was an ex-alcoholic, but he does come out with some good stuff every now and then. He's on the English Channel trying to find out what was going on with all them illegal immigrants come over, and he actually spoke to them. It's quite courageous for him because we've seen him do other different things, which is that guy where he crashed his car and his little kid in the car and he just drove past, not even turning around to help, which is a bit of a shock, to be honest. But then he's gone and done that. So it's a bravery award for one thing, and yeah, that last thing he done with that child, that was very a shock to the system. But the Commissioner for Criminal Law, Professor Penny Lewis, said hate crime has no place in our society, and we have been the terrible impact that it can have on victims. Our proposals will ensure all protected characteristics are treated in the same way, and that women enjoy hate crime protection for the first time. But this hate crime thing for women, does that mean it's going to take them, take it away from them affecting us on the other, shoe on the other foot? They can hate on a man, but if a man hates back on them, we get nicked first. Because there's a lot of sexism against men. I find women putting down men on social media, saying men are like dogs. Men are like dogs. Things like that. We see it all the time. No disrespect to women, but they do a lot. But yeah, I appreciate they do need to be supported. But why is there never nothing about men or supporting alienated fathers? Campaign and policy manager at Women's Aid, Lucia Hadley, welcomed proposals. I mean, even since Mary Wollstonecraft, even she said there's no difference in equalities between men and women. It should be supported in both. She said sexism and women's equality are the root cause of violence against women, including domestic abuse, sexual violence, street harassment, including upskirting, and online forms of crime. And these often insert with other identities, including race and ethnicity, sexuality, and disability. I almost got done for, my whole man's I almost got done for domestic abuse. I'd never hit a woman because I was a professional, supposedly professional athlete. I was 11 stone 8. My ex-wife is 14 stone. I've got weak hands, weak feet. I'm not gonna risk my hands. The police come to the door and it was ludicrous, absolute ludicrous. All I can say is I had a fat lip from my assault, and then a black eye, and and the victim that tried to get me done for domestic abuse had nothing other than taking my phone. Shock, big shock how the system works. The black eye was done by the police, local authorities. They had to use level 2 force on someone that's supposedly causing domestic abuse. All I had a fat lip, which I could see clearly. They took camera evidence on my black eye and my fat lip. What happened to them officers, I don't know. Probably still doing their job the next day, feeding their family. Well, I've lost all my life. I lost all my life. Lost all my cars. Lost my kids. I lost a lot. Can I build it back up again? Make clear that crimes happen to women because they are women. Could help to send clear message that women will be delivered, protected and supported if they experience sexist violence and abuse. Lady, I was an object. Nadia, not her real name, is a survivor of domestic abuse. I mean, I do cry out for some people in this situation, but not always the case. What I'm saying, so I'm not writing this off before you think, oh, I'm being sexist for defending men, because there are some men, you know, if you're a slim bloke, and you're with a woman at 14 stone, do the science. She's just as masculine, if not more masculine than the man. I'm 11 stone 8, 2 stone on top. If that 14 stone woman knows how to punch, which, you can imagine my household was taught how to punch. So you can imagine it makes it's a lot of difference, a lot of impact, which she says was driven by misogyny of her ex-partner. She said, when I didn't want to be sexually intimate with my ex-partner, he behaved as he was entitled because, in his eyes, I was someone with no value, worth, or respect. I was an object. My only purpose was to serve him. It's another thing. He says his own purpose to serve him. But a lot of these guys as well, they go out to work all day. They come home, the missus got a feet up washing soap, there's all mess on the floor. This may be not a situation either, but in all circumstances. He might not work. He might just be a bum sitting down a pub all day. So, you've got to you've got to look at both aspects. But you kind of picture them, can't you? You kind of picture some of them how they can be in both entities, different households. She's sitting on a bum, he going to work all day, like most partners. Yeah, like, anyway, Nada said ex-partner felt entitled to abuse her as, I'll answer this call quickly. Hi, Tom. Yeah, do you mind if I ring back in about 20 minutes, Tom? I'm just on my radar, buddy. I don't want to. Yeah, I'll ring back in 20 minutes. Oh, mate. Bye, bye. So about it, ladies and gents. My opinions and feelings had no value, and my needs were important. Here's where they always came first, she added. Although financially independent, Nadia was never allowed to pay for meals or a car as another form of control. You get into the story, you start seeing, but I'm just saying it from different perspectives. I'm not taking it away from this lady writing in. She's obviously written for a good reason, but I'm saying it from all different perspectives. When we were on holiday, he insisted that only he could exchange the money for foreign currency, which meant I had to ask him for money, she said. He wanted me to give up work. It was apparently because he was doing the right thing as a man, but really it was to increase my dependency and isolate me further. Nadia has added, he had a huge sense of entitlement because he was a man. It was constant superiority over me and disdain for mine. I believe that misogyny suited him and justified his abusive behaviour. She paid her own way, so she may well have worked at a decent job. Miss Creasy, Labour MP for Walthamstow, has led calls for a change in the law and secured the Commission's review in 2018. She welcomed the findings, saying it would help the criminal justice system detect and prevent offences including sexual assault, rape and domestic abuse. Miss Creasy added, I now urge every woman who has walked with keys in her hands at night, been abused or attacked online or offline to come forward and be heard in this consultation. I mean, I do go on different media, sociological change. I go on dating sites and see how men interact with women. It's quite scary. It's quite scary to see. Women do say men that are like dogs and heat. They absolutely can be. More men will swarm man and woman than women will swarm man and man. Notice that much. I acknowledge that much, but it's how the man acts around the woman that makes the difference. And same as well, I've had women act like men speaking to me sometimes. I won't get obviously I don't get them time. I'm busy in my academics. I'm busy in providing my radio. I just like to try and interact with society. I'm not really one to go out and um, make friends. I'm not one to go out and make friends. I want these are the sort of people I want to be surrounded by. People with good value of life. I like to drink my cup of tea with people that can help me, you know, move forward as well. I don't drink. I don't take narcotics. I drink tea. That's it, and coffee. This is our moment of change. Rather than asking women to pick a side of their identity to be protected, it is time to send a message that women should be equally able to live free from fear of assault or harm targeted at them simply for who they are. I must admit, imagine being a pretty lady in a wearing a dress on the tube. I mean, we all do. I'll probably be guilty of it. Sometime looking, I look, I think, oh, she's a pretty lady. But when you got a um, whole coachload on the train, staring at that woman, how small she must feel. But then you've got a group of women, and I walk on a train with a pair of shorts on and no top one. I'll probably feel the same. I feel stupid. I'll probably go red. But I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. I wouldn't bear to do that anyway. I wouldn't do that for the attention. People are generally attacked because an assistant dislikes something about that person, their appearance, their views, the football team they support. What marks hate crime out is where the assailant says or does something that provides evidence. They have targeted a person because of one of the five protected characteristics. So hate crime often involves assaults on public facing officials, traffic wardens, store detectives, NHS staff, when in course of the incident the perpetrator abuses the victim on grounds race, religion, sexual orientation, disability, or transgender identity. If sex and gender becomes protected characteristics in order to protect women, the same would apply. The perpetrator's actions, or more likely the words they use, would have to evidence they have targeted the victim on the grounds of sex and gender. Even getting in debates, you've got to be careful. Really got to be careful. So, it's getting a bit darker earlier, and it's 4:30, and it's getting darker outside. Now we've got cold weather coming. Pressure mounts over replacement for furlough. Furlough scheme for everyone. It's not a bad thing, is it? I mean, you can get off more time off work, but you can have furlough to help still pay your bills. Is it going to be enough to help pay your bills though? Government has come under increasing pressure to say that it will do when the furlough scheme expires at the end of October. Chancellor Rishi Sunak tweeted that he will provide an update on Thursday on our plan to continue protecting jobs for the winter. It is understood to be looking at options including a salary top-up scheme. This would be similar to those already operating in France and Germany. I was listening to talk radio as well earlier for a bit. I mean, LBC is my main one I listen to, and I like listening to actual Parliament Live. But yeah, they're talking about this furlough scheme, and the lady calling, it's not going to cover a mortgage. It's not going to cover a mortgage. There's a risk of losing a house, and they need to find alternatives to help support these people. Perhaps I did hear Boris say today that they're going to do everything they can, but it doesn't necessarily mean these people that in jeopardy then they can get support. I'm not affording my bills. I've got water and electric to pay. Can I afford them? No. The Chancellor said, as our responsible to coronavirus adapts, he would make an announcement in the House of Commons. During Prime Minister's question on Wednesday, Boris Johnson was urged to act swiftly by Labour and SNP MPs to prevent what one called as tsunami of job losses. The PM said Mr. Sunak was working on creative and imaginative solutions, although the Treasury has declined to comment. Possible ideas are thought to include allowing firms to reduce employees' hours while keeping them in a job, with the government paying part of the lost wages. The German Kurzarbeit scheme, as in its French equivalent, have attracted much attention in the UK from employers and trade unions alike, with both the CBI and the TUC in favour. They fear unemployment could spike when the furlough scheme ends as firms struggle to keep workers on the payroll. On Tuesday, Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey called on the government to stop and rethink the furlough scheme, although he did not back any particular alternative. Could the furlough scheme be extended? Julian Metcalf, the boss of the Itsu restaurant chain and founder of the Pret and manager, said the PM needed to show leadership rather than spouting off some Churchillian nonsense. That we will make it through the winter. When I say Churchillian, like he's copying Winston Churchill, he's not talking. He's still supporting a nation. Well, if prime minister's in that seat, they've got a lot of other ministers behind them supporting them. So you can't just blame our prime minister. It's our prime minister's fault. It's the whole governing body behind them supporting him as a whole, together, working together. Regardless if you make a few mix-ups in your speech, they're all in it together, driving our country forward. If it's Labour, if it's SNP, whoever's in the full front, it's divided by ministers and everything else, MPs, the lot. Repercussions of these 6 months. It's going to be devastating to so many people. We told BBC Radio 4's World at One programme. People in the hospitality industry, people in work in hotels and restaurants and takeaways and coffee shops. A great many are closing down. We're losing thousands upon thousands of jobs here. How long can this continue? This vague work from home. I mean, let's look back at these political parties, not political parties. The world organisations. We've got the EU, we've got Brexit, and we've got the World Trading Organisation. Brexit is formed by mainly our own devices. WTO, World Trading Organisation. Think of the World Cup. You've got Europe, then you've got WTO, World Trading Organisation. World Trading Organisation, places like Japan, Africa, all them sort of places, Caribbean food, all them sort of things, bananas, fruit. Think about the trading policies. I couldn't tell you, the actual trading policy booklet. I mean, people think they know it all on there. They're looking through pages there. What they're doing, they're copying and pasting their knowledge on social media. But I'm thinking of, off the cuff out, the bigger picture, trading policy. Mobile phones, where they come from? People go, people can be fascist. Where do you think all these mobile phones come from? That's what you need to think about when you think about the trading policies. What's involved? They could all sell a good story, and everyone in Parliament, oh no, don't go this one because of that one. But really, realistically, do they actually know, or they just, if you read the blueprint, it'd take you days because it's about 700 pages long. And by the time you've read all three of them, I don't think you get much grips of what's going on anyway. You've got. What are the possible options? German Kurzarbeit. The employer cuts workers' hours and the government pays them a percentage of the money they would have lost as a result. It is a long-established scheme, but it has been revised during the pandemic and can be run for up to 21 months, and the percentage of lost wages paid by the government can now be revised as 80%. 80% rise. It's going up to 80% of your wages. France Chômage Partiel, the French scheme known as the Partal of Employment, Partal activity, also predates the coronavirus pandemic. Firms are allowed to cut employees' hours by up to 40% for up to 3 years. Employees still receive nearly all their normal salary. with the government paying a percentage of the cost. CBI suggestion a wage top up from the government should be available provided but employees can work at least 50% of their normal hours. The firm will pay the actual hours worked in full, but the employee would get paid for the two-thirds of lost hours, with costs shared between the company and Treasury. The subsidy would last up to a year. The Tuck suggestion a more generous version of the above. Employees would work a smaller proportion of the normal hours and still eligible, while they would be guaranteed 80% pay rise for the hours lost, 80% pay for the hours lost, or 100% if they're on a minimum wage. That's proclamation news and gammons, ladies and gents. I'm not going to stay on air much longer. I need to get something to eat. My tummy's rumbling. I'm feeling a bit faint. I haven't eaten today, so I'm going to have something to eat. Take care, ladies and gents. Have a wonderful weekend. Wednesday, bang smack in the middle. Thank you, whoever that is listening in. I appreciate it. I think you're here most days. I'm not sure. There's always one person. I keep thinking, is that same person? There's always there. But thank you. Take care. God bless. God bless and speak soon.